This isn't your regular, I think these things are fundamentally wrong with Hypixel Skyblock and explain ways to fix them. Oh no. Instead, I asked a bunch of idiots what they thought was wrong and got some replies. Before we continue, you should probably subscribe. It's not like I'm gonna flood your For You. Anyways, onto the video. The only two classes being viable outside of dungeons being Mage and Archer, quite literally no point in even bothering to get a Hollow or Fervor, because there is zero use for them. You should be able to play the game as any class and have them all be balanced, or at least the use for those classes, so there's a need to get all 5 sets, not just 3. Starting off with the hot one. I honestly think he's speaking facts here. I don't understand why there's literally nowhere outside of dungeons where you can just play tank or some kind of healer, or anything that just isn't mage, and Archer for stuff like Kudra and Burrs for Slayers, something which I'll touch on later. And it's not like they don't think about this. I mean, in one of the latest Crimson Isle changes, they updated Fervor and Hollow Armor, so it's clear they remember they exist. I think a big problem they would have trying to introduce the need for other classes outside of dungeons is we already can do everything outside of dungeons without the need for a tank or healer. So the options are just either make new content that needs these other classes, or just buff the content we already have to a point when we need these classes. But then you have to add weapons and tools that can be useful for this sort of thing. Because technically you can play tank outside of dungeons, say in Kudra for example. But it's like, what the f are you gonna do? Just sit there with your 15-star Fervor looking pretty like you're kind of tanky, but you don't do anything. I also want to mention here that I'm a fucking idiot. So maybe there are some simple ways to change / add features to make these other classes useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas. Pet skin prices and the fact that applying cosmetics lowers the value of it. Now, I want to preface this by saying, I'm Iron Man, so I don't exactly deal with cosmetics. I just buy skins because they look cool. But I still have some thoughts on this. I personally think that everyone can agree that it has become an issue to a point where if people think a fire sale will sell well, it will sell out within 15 seconds or less. And I can't see the admins doing much because it is supporting the server, and I do think they should keep releasing skins, mainly because I will keep buying them. And I mean, just look at this. Oh my god, it's beautiful. The purple, the colors, oh my lord. An argument I've seen a lot of people bring up is why don't they just re-release skins? And I think that is just a really dumb idea for many reasons. I do think skins are cool, and the fact that you can support the Hypixel team and you get some cool cosmetics is a great concept. And reintroducing them would just make the prices fall, and future fire sales people would be hesitant to buy. Now, Polar's message specifically mentions pet skins, which are normally the most expensive. And something I would like to bring up is a lot of people do just have pets turned off, and let's be honest, 90% of Skyblock players are brainless idiots who barely know how to walk into tic-tac-toe. So can we really expect them to look at the funny pet skin you have equipped? This brings up the other point of applied pet skins being worth much less than unapplied, which I personally find f***ing dumb. What else are you gonna do with it? Like, ditto the skin? I do understand that a lot of people just like saving the skins as an investment, and as the longer they hold it, the supply will go down, and therefore the price will go up. But why would it matter if it's applied or not? Because if you're buying the skin in the future, you're probably buying it to apply it to a pet, or you're weird and buying it just to hold it again, and the cycle repeats. As I've stated before, I'm a fucking idiot, so don't take my word as fact or any form of logical cognitive function. I'm just rambling for views. Codemaz in the No. Inflation and Iron Man being forced to compete with an ever-growing economy. Yes. 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 Now, my thoughts on this are going to be pretty strong because, as I've mentioned, I am Iron Man. No, yes, it's no lie that Iron Man has many less money-making methods than normal profiles. Even the Rift, for example, could make up to 50-60 mil an hour, which is a dream on Iron Man. The closest thing we had was Dillo mining, which was broken as hell, and I can understand why the admins nerfed it. And yes, when we chose the Iron Man game mode, we didn't do it because it would be easy. But then I ask, why not separate things like the Dark Auction and Shens with Iron Man and normals? As I do think if you want to make the argument that we chose Iron Man, then yes, we chose not to interact with the economy. So then why do we have to compete with it? During Mayor Finnegan, pest farming right now can make anywhere from 40 to 50 mil an hour from what I've heard. And that's on an Iron Man, which is amazing, and we at least need to keep this, as mining always had the issue of needing lower ping. But when someone that has just broken into the mid game can go do something like farming in the Rift and make 50 mil an hour all the time without needing a certain mayor in rotation, and then we have to compete with that same guy in Shens in the Dark Auctions, I think that's a little ridiculous. I think a start is Hypixel just needs to separate Iron Man and normals in stuff involving bidding, with the exception being maybe the Rift. mainly because moat grinding stays the same across all profiles. But I mean, if you're gonna separate it in the regular world, you might as well do it in the Rift too. So, about all that, turns out Hypixel are working on a fix to separate Iron Man and normal and stuff like Shen, so I just made you sit through that for nothing. Thanks for the watch time. Something I suggested to Telltale a while ago, but a cheaper option but understandably worse, Boost Cookie. That does similar things to a normal Boost Cookie that has a set coin value from an NPC for Iron Man profiles. You still get the saving coins on death, but certain stats are reduced, like the Wisdoms and Magic Find. It doesn't solve the bigger issues surrounding Boost Cookies and Iron Man profiles, but I think a cheap alternative to the Boost Cookie for early/mid-game Iron Man players would be amazing. It would have to be implemented well for it to be worth it and at a reasonable price. Let's say, for example, it was 4 million coins from an NPC, and instead of just giving you bits based on your Feign rank and bit multiplier, it'd give you a set rate or something, just enough to buy like 1 to 2 God Pots, as these are the main reason people need Boost Cookies in early/mid game, as the God Pot has become such a necessary item. And Short suggested that you should still keep coins on death and certain stats are reduced, like Wisdom's Magic Find, which I can definitely get behind. Something I think I don't fully agree with is on the cookie being for Iron Man only. Now, yes, by day 2 of a normal profile, you can pretty much already afford a regular cookie, just because of how many sheer ways there are to make money on normal profiles. Maybe you could still tweak the price that I suggested and the perks. This would definitely be a hard thing to balance and implement if they would add something like this into the game. It can't be anywhere near as good as a regular Boost Cookie, but it still has to be worth it and viable option for its audience. This would be such a great place to plug a code, but since I am nowhere close, use code Pelican in the Hypixel store to save 5%, and Pelican gets a small little NPC sell prices for a lot of items, melee combat builds, and add melee base abilities to more weapons like Felthorn Reaper, AOTS. Claymore should have a frag/upgrade option. This first one of NPC sell prices for a lot of items is something I can 100% get behind, no bias at all. Now, this brings up multiple points. The lack of money making that can keep up with regular profiles on Iron Man, which again, would not be an issue if they just separated Iron Man and normals and stuff like Shens and Dark Auctions. And another point is the countless RNGs and random drops that you get that sell for a total of fuck all to NPC. Now, I don't think that every RNG drop should sell for a bunch to NPC. That's one of the best part about Iron Man in my opinion. The fact that you get to keep and show off all your RNGs that you've gotten over your profile. Melee combat builds and more weapon-type abilities I think would be amazing. I feel like after the Giant Sword they kind of just gave up. Floor 5, you have the Shadow Fury and the Livid Dagger, which have some kind of useless but pretty cool abilities. And then the Giant Sword ability I found the most useful in early game fishing. Now the major issue here is I don't know what they could add that would make abilities useful. Something cool I see with the Dark Claymore, for example, is Dark Slash. When activated, the Dark Claymore reaches the maximum swing range for 15 seconds, and will send a slash forward when used. That will hit enemies up to 10 blocks away. Now, this is in no way balanced and should never be added to the game, but it's just an example. Speaking of the Dark Claymore, I think the idea of it being able to be fragged is kind of cool, and something I found dumb as of recent times is the fact that the Midas and Claymore are comparable at M7. Now, I think it's cool that the Midas finally has a use again, and after all these years, but the Claymore is the final big drop from dungeons and the only exclusive drop to Master Mode, other than Master Spells. So I think the fact that it can be outshined by a sword not even from dungeons kind of sucks. I think maybe just making the Claymore worse outside of dungeons so that the Midas has a place would be cool, but what are you going to use it on? There's not many places where you need a sword other than Slayers, and then you use the Slayer specific sword. Unless you want to do Wolf, I guess, so go ahead. Now, Telltale brings up some good points, but I have a few more people to get through, so... The Kudra play to grind ratio on Iron Man, where it is like 4 hours of prep per 1 hour of play of Infernal or something like that, it makes it so irritating because the amount of bullshit it takes just to play with one thing for more than an hour. This is something I'm about to have to deal with personally as I'm preparing to do my Kudra runs. I do think it has gotten a lot better now with the mycelium grinding at least. With the addition of glossy mineral, it's make the mycelium grinding so much more bearable. The star grinding is honestly not that bad in my opinion. Now with stars being on the bazaar, that should free up a lot more lobbies for us Iron Man to grind it out. But something I think is dumb is they should change the fact that keys require coins. Over this video, I've talked about money-making methods on Iron Man and how much of a pain it is. So please explain why the admins make me want to do more of it. Now, this change would ultimately lead to nothing other than making it so normal profiles can just buy keys, but you can now do that anyway with the addition of nether stars and stuff on the bazaar. So admins, please just remove the coin cost from keys. Thank you. Dark Auction. 50 mil for a flower minion is hilarious. It is kind of funny. Remember when we all laughed at Time Dio for spending 50 mil back in the day on a flower minion? Yeah, no, not much of an idiot now, is he? The stupid amount of RNG needed to play endgame dungeons on Iron Man. This one is more of a pet peeve of mine, as I'm getting ready to get into dungeons and finally hit Cata 50, and I want to play the class of Burrs. Now yes, I know I should not play a DPS class until I have Cata 50, but shut the fuck up, I want to have fun, okay? The main issue is, this is what I have. 2 terms, 1 duplex, 1 soul eater. Also don't judge the duplex level, I'm working on my tier 3 daggers right now, okay? Level 200 Golden Dragon and an Ender Dragon pet, though I do need to regain my 1 bill bank and upgrade the Ender Dragon to Legendary, but you know, pest farming. Yep, even once I finish all that and everything else that I possibly need, people still expect the Phoenix pet. Now, the reason for this is you need it for pre-4, and I don't know if you know this, but Phoenix is extremely fucking rare. And don't even get me started on the amount of Chimera weapons you need to play something like Mage. Now, I understand why it is needed, so I'm not going to talk on that, because I don't want to piss off the Dungeons community. They will leak my address. And I have been working on this, to be honest. I'm pretty sure I have about a Chime 4 Ragax right now. So, yeah, no, only 8 more books to go. I don't think I'd ever be able to play Mage, because by the time I have all the gear, I'd be in my mid-50s on my 3rd wife with 4 kids that don't call me. But I think that's enough of me rambling. Also, remember, this is all my opinion, and a lot of you might disagree with me, and probably will disagree with me. And all I have to say with that is, just have an argument in the comments. Feed my video interactions, yes! Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I promise the next video won't take 6 months. See ya.